Let's talk about what it feels like to be at zero. It's not just about an empty bank account, it's a feeling. It's like waking up in a completely dark room that you've never been in before. You don't know the layout. You don't know where the furniture is, where the exits are, or what obstacles might be lying on the floor. Every move is filled with anxiety. You shuffle your feet forward, arms outstretched, bracing for the inevitable collision with a sharp corner. That's the feeling of an unexpected car repair bill. You take a step to the side and trip on something you never knew was there. That's the pain of a late fee or an overdraft charge. The dominant feeling in this dark room is helplessness. You're surrounded by your own life, your income, your expenses, your debts, your potential, but you can't see any of it clearly. It's all just vague, threatening shapes in the darkness. And so, we wait. We stand still in the middle of the room, paralyzed by the fear of the unknown, hoping that someone, someday, will burst through the door and flip on a giant floodlight. We tell ourselves, I'll get my finances in order when I get that big promotion. I'll start investing when I pay off all my debt. I'll make a plan when I win the lottery. We are waiting for a sudden, magical event to illuminate our situation for us. But what if I told you that this entire approach is wrong? What if I told you the absolute most critical first step to mastering this room has nothing to do with finding a light switch? What if the first step is simply learning to see in the dark? Before we can even think about navigating the room, let alone rearranging the furniture, we first need to understand its contents. We need to identify the anatomy of our own financial darkness. This darkness is made up of several things. First, there are the invisible drains. These are the small, silent forces that are constantly pulling energy and resources out of the room. A subscription service you forgot about is a small crack under the door, letting the warmth out. A bank fee is a slow, steady drip from the ceiling. They seem insignificant on their own, but over time, they create a cold and depleting environment. Next, there are the hidden obstacles. These are the larger, more dangerous items left scattered on the floor. This is your high-interest credit card debt, your car loan, your student loans. In the dark, you can't see their true size or shape. You just know that every time you stumble over one, it hurts. It sets you back and fills you with frustration. And finally, there are the vague shapes of potential. Somewhere in this room is your greatest asset, your income. There are windows that could let in light, opportunities for growth. But in the darkness, you can't distinguish them from the obstacles. You can't tell if that large shape in the corner is a monster or a doorway to a better room. So how do we begin to see? Here is where my advice will differ from almost everything else you've heard before. The first principle of developing your night vision is this: stop moving. Seriously, for a short period, let's say for 1 week, your goal is not to fix anything. It's not to create a budget, it's not to pay off debt, it's not to download a fancy app. Your only job is to stand perfectly still in the middle of your dark room and just be. This is a financial pause, a deliberate period of non-action. Why? Because when you're constantly stumbling and reacting, your senses are overwhelmed. You're in a state of panic. You can't observe anything clearly. By standing still, you give your mind and your emotions a chance to calm down. You stop creating noise, and you start being able to listen. This brings us to the second principle of night vision: let your eyes adjust. This is the true first step. During your 1 week of financial pause, your only task is to become a passive observer. Your job is to watch the vague shapes in the room and allow them to slowly come into focus. This is the process of tracking your spending but reframed in a more powerful way. You're not tracking to judge yourself. You're not tracking to create a restrictive budget. You are simply mapping the room. Every time a dollar leaves your possession, you make a note of it. You don't question it. You don't feel guilty about it. You just observe it. Ah, you say to yourself, there is a shape over there. It is the shape of a morning coffee. There is another shape. It is the shape of my electricity bill. You can use a simple notebook or a notes app on your phone. The tool doesn't matter. The act of pure, non-judgmental observation is what matters. Think of it like this. When you first walk into a dark forest from a bright field, you are blind. You see nothing but blackness. But if you stand still for 5 minutes, something magical happens. Your pupils dilate. Your senses heighten. You start to see the outline of the trees against the slightly less dark sky. You begin to discern the path at your feet. You haven't turned on a light. You have simply allowed your natural ability to see in the dark to awaken. This is what tracking your finances for a week without judgment does. It allows the panic to subside and your natural financial senses to come online. By the end of this week of pure observation, the room will no longer be a terrifying, unknown space. You won't know where everything is perfectly, but you will have a map, a rough sketch of the layout. You will have taken the vast, scary unknown and made it known. This act of calm, quiet observation, of letting your eyes adjust to your own reality, is the absolute, non-negotiable first step. It is the foundation upon which every other financial decision will be built. It is how you begin.
So, you've just spent a week standing still in your own financial darkness. The initial panic has subsided. Your eyes have adjusted. The room is no longer a terrifying, unknown space. You have a rough map in your mind of the shapes around you. This is a monumental achievement. You have successfully completed the absolute first step. You have replaced fear with awareness. So, what comes next? Now that you can see the vague outlines of the furniture, it's time to start understanding what they are. It's time to move slowly and with intention and begin to interact with your environment. This next phase is about touching the furniture. You approach the first large shape you've identified. You run your hands over it. You realize, this is my rent. It's the biggest, most solid object in the room. It's the roof over my head. It serves a foundational purpose. You don't try to move it yet. You just acknowledge it and understand its function. Then you move to that other shape, the one you kept tripping over in the dark. As you touch it, you feel its sharp edges and its immense weight. You identify it. This is my credit card debt. You realize it serves no purpose other than to be an obstacle. It doesn't support you. It only gets in your way. For the first time, you see it for what it truly is. You continue this process with every shape. These small, scattered objects, these are my subscriptions. You pick one up. What is your purpose in this room? Do you bring me joy, or are you just clutter? This act of questioning, of assigning a purpose or a lack thereof to every object, is the beginning of intentionality. You are no longer a victim of the room, you are becoming its curator. Once you have identified the contents of your room, you can begin the gentle rearrangement. A wise person doesn't start redecorating by trying to move the heaviest wardrobe. That leads to exhaustion and failure. You start by clearing the clutter. You start by moving the small things first. That subscription shape that served no purpose, you pick it up, walk to the door, and place it outside. The daily coffee shape, you don't eliminate it, You simply move it from the expensive cafe corner of the room to the my own kitchen corner of the room. You still have the coffee, but you've changed its location and its cost. With every piece of clutter you remove, something magical happens. The room feels bigger. There's more space to breathe, more room to move. These small wins build momentum. They prove to you that you have agency here. You can change this room. After you've cleared the clutter, you can now approach the heavier obstacles. That sharp-edged piece of debt, you now have the space and the clarity to deal with it, and you decide to dismantle it, piece by piece, month by month. It's heavy work, but with the clutter gone, you can now focus all your energy on this single task. You look at the biggest pieces of furniture, your housing, your transportation, and you ask a new set of questions. Do I need a couch this large, or would a smaller one give me more space to dance? Do I need this giant dining table, or do I value an open space for exercise more? This is how you make conscious decisions about downsizing your largest expenses. It's not about deprivation. It's about curating a room that serves the life you want to live, not the one you've been told to own. As you continue to arrange and optimize your room, you start to notice something you never saw in the darkness: faint outlines on the walls. You feel your way towards them. You realize they are windows covered by thick, heavy curtains. This is the next level of your journey, letting in the light. The curtains are the limiting beliefs you have about your income, the belief that you are stuck with what you currently earn. The act of opening these curtains is the process of income augmentation. You start small. You find one curtain and pull it back just an inch. This is you taking on a small freelance project or selling things you no longer need. A single thin beam of light cuts through the room. It's not much, but it changes everything. For the first time, you can see the true color and texture of the things around you. The remaining obstacles seem far less intimidating in the light. This initial success gives you the confidence to open the curtains wider. You find another window and throw it open completely. This is you getting a promotion or starting a side hustle that becomes a significant source of income. More and more light floods the room. The darkness that once defined your existence is now just a collection of shadows in the corners. And this reveals the final truth. The goal was never just to learn to see in the dark. That was merely the first, essential skill for survival. The true goal was always to transform the room itself, to take a space that was once a source of anxiety and helplessness, and to curate it, arrange it, and fill it with so much light that it becomes a true reflection of you, a space that is not only functional, but beautiful, a space you are proud of, a space where you are free to move, to create, to rest. The absolute first step was to stand still and let your eyes adjust. But the power you gained from that first step is the realization that you were never a prisoner in a dark room. You are its architect. So, where do you begin? You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know where every window is. Just stand still. Let the panic subside and ask yourself, what is the first shape you can see? Start there.